Inside the tank, the impact has already happened. There is no warning, only the aftershock. Metal buckling, instruments going dark, the air turning sharp with smoke and fuel. Training dissolves into noise as heat begins to spread along the walls. Someone tries to speak, but the sound is swallowed by the engine's last cough and the hiss of fire. In this confined space, seconds lose their shape. Hands reach for controls that no longer answer. The armor that promised safety now traps everything inside it. No one knows what hit them, or if another round is coming. What is clear is simpler and more terrifying. The machine is failing, and the men inside it must decide how to respond before the fire does it for them. Only after the shock settles does the wider war come into focus. This tank was one of many pushing through contested ground, where front lines shifted by the hour and maps aged faster than orders. Armored units were sent forward to break resistance, support infantry, and hold momentum in landscapes already scarred by weeks of fighting. Enemy positions were often hidden, mobile, and patient. Anti-tank guns waited in silence. Infantry moved through rubble and hedgerows, close enough that warning was rare. For crews inside steel hulls, danger did not announce itself. It arrived suddenly, at angles armor designers had not anticipated. This battlefield rewarded stillness and punished movement, turning every advance into a gamble measured in meters rather than miles. Tanks were meant to restore balance between flesh and firepower. Steel walls, sloped armor, and heavy weight offered crews a sense of separation from the chaos outside. Inside, men believed they were safer than infantry exposed to open ground. That belief mattered. It steadied hands and justified forward motion. But protection came with conditions. The interior was cramped, lined with fuel, ammunition, and hydraulic fluid. Escape routes were few, visibility limited, and survival depended on machinery functioning as designed. When armor worked, it saved lives. When it failed completely. What felt like shelter could become confinement in seconds, with no gradual warning, no middle state between safety and catastrophe. The tank functioned only because 5 men worked as a single system. Each position carried its own responsibilities, rhythms, and pressures. Commands passed through headsets and gestures learned through repetition, not conversation. Trust was practical, built from drills and long hours rather than friendship. Every movement inside the hull was rehearsed to avoid collision or delay. No one saw the battlefield alone. Each man depended on the others to interpret fragments of information. In combat, individuality narrowed. Rank mattered less than timing. Survival depended on cooperation so complete that it became instinctive. When the tank moved, it moved because all 5 acted together, bound by steel and necessity. The strike that crippled the tank was not dramatic at first. There was no explosion visible from the outside, no immediate collapse. Instead, armor gave way where it was weakest, channeling force inward. Spall and fragments tore through the interior. Fuel ignited. Systems failed almost simultaneously. The engine stalled, the turret slowed, and smoke flooded the compartment. Training dictated procedures, but damage ignored procedure. What should have been a sequence became chaos. In that moment, the tank stopped being a weapon. It became a hazard, its mass and design now working against the men it was built to protect. Fire inside a tank behaves differently than fire in open air. Heat builds rapidly, feeding on confined oxygen and flammable materials. Smoke blinds and suffocates before flames are visible. Metal surfaces become untouchable. Hatches jam under stress or debris. Sound narrows to breathing and crackling insulation. Panic threatens, but discipline fights to hold ground. Hands search for releases, extinguishers, exits memorized in drills but distorted by smoke and pain. Time compresses into sensations. Heat on skin, lungs burning, vision fading. Survival is no longer abstract. It is measured in movements, in seconds stolen from an environment that is actively trying to kill everyone inside it. Not all positions inside the tank offer the same chance of escape. Injury, location, and damage dictate who can move and who cannot. Decisions are made without consultation, shaped by urgency rather than morality. Helping one man may delay another. Waiting may mean no one survives. These are not choices made in clarity or calm. They are reactions under extreme constraint, where intent and outcome rarely align. Later, such moments are described in simple terms: escaped, killed, missing. What is lost is the uneven reality of those seconds, where survival and sacrifice exist side by side, inseparable and unresolved. When the fire finally burns itself out, the battlefield has already shifted. Infantry move past the wreckage. Orders continue. The tank is marked, then ignored. Survivors are pulled away, treated, questioned, reassigned. The dead are recorded by rank and number. Reports note the loss of a vehicle, the probable cause, the approximate time. There is no space for detail, no room for what it felt like inside. The war absorbs the incident efficiently, converting human experience into administrative fact, and moves forward without pause. Moments like this shaped the war as much as any offensive or victory. They were common, decisive, and largely unremembered. 5 men and a burning tank leave little trace in history, yet they represent the cost paid in confined spaces, far from speeches and maps, where survival depended on seconds and circumstance alone.